The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk-adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today.
You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
So last weekend I went to a birthday party and I got asked to help blow up balloons. And I started blowing up a balloon and I just couldn't do it. And I turned to my partner. I said, I don't think I've ever blown up a balloon. And she's like, you've never blown up a balloon? And I'm like, no, why would I blow up a balloon? It's like I filled up water balloons as a child, but never with air. But eventually I got there and I didn't even need to Google it.
Check.
All right. Good morning, good evening, good day. This is Underground Noise, November 2025. My name is Aria Rad, your friendly local neighborhood coffin salesman and musical forager. And I just want to let you know that that pair of socks that you chose to perfectly match your wardrobe did not go unnoticed. And I know it's November and we're all starting to feel a bit like worn out socks.
Shout out mental illness.
But there's so much good art that needs you, and that's what we're here to talk about today. And the first thing I want to shout out is a new compilation released by Sisters Weird that drops today, and it's a compilation to benefit Science Club for Girls, who works to provide free STEM education and mentoring for underrepresented girls and gender-expansive youth. I'm really excited to listen to this whole thing. I have not had a sneak preview. It's just something that's been on my radar, and it's dropping the same day as this episode, and I feel like I would be totally remiss to not shout it out. Assembled by the coolest around town, Daphne Blue Underworld. I know it's going to be an awesome listen cover to cover, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled. And I know it might not seem like much, but compilations like this are really cool because you're $5, $10 in totality with a bunch of other people can easily get to hundreds or thousands of dollars and provide a meaningful chunk of cash to organizations doing something important for the community. Fuck yeah. Now, the next two releases I want to talk about are both singles from artists from Providence, Rhode Island, the lovely, beautiful state, home of pizza strips and Lovecraftian horror. And the first song I want to shout out is the song Chlorine, the new single by Nova One. So Nova One is a indie pop band from Providence with a very artful bent, and the production on the song is really cool. It has a sort of intentionally almost underwater vibe for the rhythm section. The drums sound sort of lo-fi and dreamy, almost like you're floating, and they provide the perfect springboard for these contemplative vocals and lyrics. There's a line, "Chlorine stings my eyes like a bee. Maybe this is part of life being unseen." It's really kind of a deep song and approaches and creeps up on you in a very subtle way. Let's listen to a few seconds and you can tell what I mean. Yeah, there's just something so comforting and that feels good about all the Nova One stuff I listen to, whether it's chiller or a little more rock and roll, like some of the stuff they did on their last record. Really awesome band. Check them out if you haven't. The next song I want to talk about is by Voodoo Sister, Providence, Rhode Island gothic folk band with a self-admitted grunge bent, and you can definitely hear it in their sound. If you're familiar with folk rock bands like the Levelers, this seems like the darker, more mysterious version of that. This song is called Non-Euclidean Geometry. It came out in October and it has this really wonderful vibe because it's really a heavy kind of driving folk song at the core of it, but has these really intense melancholic strings, and the production of the whole thing gives it a whole different kind of atmosphere that captures the Lovecraftian horror of the whole subject matter. Really awesome song, wonderful band. I got to see them last year. It was my first time seeing them after years of hearing about them, and it's really a wonderful musical project that could appeal to a lot of people with different kinds of interests and musical tastes. And as we head into these drearier seasons, I gotta keep going talking about some more fucking goth shit. Seder from Salem, Massachusetts, after a long time we've been waiting, has finally released their debut album, Old Growth. They self-describe themselves as dark fairy folk metal. I heard one person describe them as forest goth, but this whole album is really cool. There's definitely a consistent invocation of nature and mysticism, but they blend these sort of folk elements and folk horror elements into some really interesting and brooding rock music at the same time. Let's listen to a little bit. Uniquely Them, an amazing release, and let's listen to a couple seconds because they cover so much, but unless you hear it, it's hard to know exactly what I'm talking about.
I've spent too many years protecting the aggressor. Such questionable tears, I didn't know any better till my ancestors appeared.
So yeah, some heavy, ugly grunge stuff in there too. And for a three-piece, they cover a lot of ground. There's fucking no one slouching at all in the band. Monstrous rhythm section, monstrous guitar, monstrous vocals all across the board. Hell yeah. And speaking of being stoked about shit, I have to give a shout out to the most fun band in music, which is Albany, New York's Girth Control. They just re-recorded their first album, What Got You Stoked in the First Place. And why that's awesome is because the first record is just a live CD that they recorded at a show in their friend's basement when they barely thought they were going to be a band. And now all these years later, they're still playing these amazing, hilarious, poignant songs. And the new recordings of them rip so much. They have a CD version that has both the newly recorded anniversary versions of all the songs as well as the original live CD. It's so cool. A truly well-packaged CD is hard to find in 2025, and they executed all the way. Shout out Girth Control. I'm not sure if there's been a song as evergreen as Too Many Dudes. Anytime you go to a show and it sucks and you're like, why? The answer probably is always too many dudes. But there is something really special when bands capture something live. And I was thinking about this as I was listening to the new release from Snake Drink, which is 2 live sets. So they're 2 full recordings of 2 different live shows, 1 track per show. And they're a phenomenally interesting band. They have lots of elements of really sinister, noisy drone stuff that opens up into really melancholic, somber, emotive riffs that go into these crazy, heavy, doomy, noisy parts. And it's really cool. I got to actually see one of these sets. They played at the 3rd annual Doom and Grill in September, and I watched them play, and I was just like completely captured in the mood. And what's interesting is that set was recorded to tape, apparently, and when you listen to it back, it almost sounds like a whole new experience. In fact, the 2 sets on this release sound so different from each other sonically, and I kind of love that. And what I love about having a live recording is it truly feels like the music is alive, regardless of whatever you think about the fidelity. I think the struggle always for bands and artists is when they're recording music with an intention of recording music is to make that music come alive on the recording. But when you're performing, that is already happening, and you really feel like these recordings are alive, and it's really cool. I can't wait to hear more from this band. And speaking of being fucking alive, there's a new release from Turf and Turf, a self-described nuclear blues noise machine from Washington County, New York. And my band Coffin Salesman had the very good fortune of playing with Turf and Turf a couple years ago, and I was totally floored at what I witnessed. Main dude Snail has a chicken coop with thousands of watts of electricity and amps and noise, and it's a cascading blues destroying machine. It is not for the faint of heart, it is not for the weak of spirit, but goddamn, it's fucking beautiful. And that's captured beautifully on this self-titled release from Turf and Turf that just came out. And I really want to get a Turf and Turf show happening in Boston. I really need to find a stage big enough to have it on. We only play in small shitty bars, but if you know a place that can hold something Turf and Turf size, let me know, because I'm very adamant about making it happen. Punk means you'll always find a way. And speaking of punk, we have a new release from Cigarette Camp of Jeff Poot fame. It's 4 songs of fucking punk and about just as many minutes. And what I like about it is it's not like this style punk, that style punk. It's fucking punk. It's fucking catchy. It's aggressive. It's raw. It's real. It's in your face. Cigarette Camp, it's such a breath of fresh air in an environment where we're all trying to quote unquote do something serious or intense or highbrow. So let's listen to some. God damn, I can't tell you how good that makes my fucking bones feel. Some of us are just programmed a certain way, and some stuff will just hit you where you live. And while I'll always be a sucker for raw, no fucking bullshit punk, I'm even more of a believer in the whole ethos of finding something uniquely you and something you believe in and something different and special. And that's why I wanted to pivot to something totally different, kind of a type of music and genre we've never explored on the show. And I've sort of been inspired by this because my boss and benevolent overlord Trev Allen, who runs a Struggling Artist podcast, also has a beautiful record club, and someone was complaining to him that one release wasn't punk enough, or he wanted, like, it's a punk record club, he wants a punk release. And that's sort of strange to me, because to me everything just seems like punk. I don't really box things up that way. And I was sort of thinking about that when I stumbled upon this record called Interius Exterius by Catherine Lamb and Ghost Ensemble. And this is by all measures, I guess, you might call it a neoclassical record. But what really drew me to it is I started reading some of the liner notes and the descriptions and started listening. And it's a very unique and interesting approach to music. The composer Catherine Lamb utilizes a lot of non-traditional tuning systems for her arrangements, and it creates this really interesting musical experience. It almost feels like, not like you're listening to music, but the music is almost passing through you. It's the kind of thing you might throw it on, and one of your friends for the first 20 seconds might be like, why is this music weird and out of tune? But the more you listen, you just sort of get locked into the focus of the vision. And kind of coming around to something like that, I think, is as punk as can be. And for me, coming from a not really educated musical background, it's really just about what the listening experience creates for you. And I really have to recommend this release if you really just want to take your mind somewhere else. And speaking of being somewhere else, I want to talk about the new release from Clover Lynn called Gothic Matsu Bluegrass. Clover Lynn is a bluegrass banjo player from Virginia, but what's really cool about this release is it's not sort of your straightforward banjo picking and plucking release. It really sort of feels like found footage horror. It's designed in such a way that you picked up something that feels like it came from out of another time, but it's still alive and speaking to you, speaking through you. And the aesthetic of this sort of lost media pairs really well with the amazing playing. It feels very rooted and very focused, and is just totally a pleasure to listen to, and really interesting, a little spooky, but definitely not camp. It's very intentional and serious about its designs, and I really can't recommend it enough. And now the last release I want to talk about is the new album from the Michael character called The Impermanent Coffee Can. And this is a really quirky, artsy kind of indie record, but there's something so endearing about the sentiment and so powerful about the way it's captured. There's really a lot of themes of loss and change and sort of this feeling of what it's like to start your life over. Is it too late to start over when you're at a certain point? There's something strange, I think, happening currently where it's very in vogue to be anti-sentimental or anti-nostalgic, which makes sense. I can understand why those feelings are toxic, but there's something about our human feelings that we sort of need to express and need to feel. And what I like about these songs, these are very feeling songs. I don't want to call this record a breakup record, even though at times it feels like that, because I feel like that is reductive. Saying someone just writes about relationships or something like that is reductive, and it does really miss the mark about what this record means. I think a lot of it is captured in a lot of the details. It's like cooking at home with somebody, like the intimacy of that, all these seemingly little moments that we don't think about very often that are actually our whole lives. And I think it's just a really wonderful record. It's quirky, it's kind of weird, and it has a pretty sophisticated musical pedigree. There's some really awesome twangy guitar that I'm a fucking sucker for, amazing guitar playing, really cool musical parts that don't take away from the songs. It's very artfully done. So we're going to leave you off with a song from the Michael character. Thank you guys so much for listening in. If you're an artist and you have something you want to promote, we'd love to talk about it. Please let me know. Shoot me a message or send me an email at aria@thestrugglingartistpodcast.com. And yeah, we'd love to hear what you're doing. That's what this is all about. So you know what? Be well, take care of yourselves, and wear the socks that make you feel good.
Pittsburgh, I met a cutie at a basement show. We made out on the porch. We talked and texted for hours on the phone. While I was on the road. She was the first to meet my parents, I'm pretty sure. And when we sat down at the table, my mother said of me, he'll probably get married, but be divorced within 10 years. The rest of the quote is fuzzy, but the gist of it was, whoever it is, they will get fed up. school year came back around again, and I got busy like I always choose to do. Soon enough, as was my manner, I withdrew. I wrote a song and left the rest in tune.